Thank you for taking a few minutes out of your busy schedule and allowing me to speak with you about the Republican Party. I'm seeking re-election as chairman of the Republican National Committee and wanted to reflect for a few moments on where we are today and share with you my vision of what tomorrow holds for our grand old party. As you can imagine, I share the disappointment of all Republicans around the results of the presidential election. But as Americans, we honor the democratic process and we accept the results. We congratulate the winners and wish them well. And we thank Senator McCain and Governor Palin for their service to our party. It's always been my nature to look forward and not dwell on the past. But I would be doing a disservice to the millions of Republicans across our nation who devoted their lives to our cause if I didn't pause to reflect on what they helped us achieve in the last campaign. You might remember that for almost 2 years the pundits were predicting gloom and doom for the Republican Party. They said we wouldn't be able to raise money. They said our base wouldn't be motivated. They said the Republican brand had lost its luster. Well, I'm here to report that when it comes to the Republican National Committee, they were very wrong. Contrary to all the predictions, the RNC raised record amounts of money during the campaign. As of the end of November, we had raised more than $320 million from more than 1.9 million donors, more donors than at any time in our history, and nearly 1 million more donors than just 8 years ago. Our national convention in St. Paul exceeded all expectations. More people tuned in to watch the speeches of Senator McCain and Governor Palin than those who watched the opening ceremony of the Beijing Olympics. In fact, Senator McCain's acceptance speech was watched by more people than any such convention speech in history, including Barack Obama's just the previous week. I was somewhat amused with some media breathlessly reporting on the scope of the Obama campaign's internet savvy. They seemed astounded that he'd collected more than 10 million email addresses. That is indeed impressive, and I should know because the RNC has collected just as many, even without the publicity for doing it. As a Kentuckian, I often hearken back to the words of Abraham Lincoln. When Lincoln addressed the Whig Convention in 1840, he said, "Our intention is to organize the whole state so that every Whig can be brought to the polls." With that in mind, across the country we opened more than 300 victory centers with over 500 paid staffers and tens of thousands of volunteers. Through the use of technology that Lincoln could never imagine, like VoIP phones and a sophisticated software system, we reached millions of voters. It's interesting that while it took us 50 days to reach our first million voters, by the end of the cycle, we were reaching 1 million voters every 2 days. And we accomplished these record-setting achievements in spite of one of the most difficult political environments our party has ever faced. Okay, enough with the facts and statistics. Let's talk about the future. Despite unprecedented fundraising, voter outreach, and GOTV accomplishments, what really matters to all of us is winning elections. And I'm happy to report that already we have good reason for optimism in the 2010 election cycle. In our first test since the presidential election, the Republican National Committee played a key role in the Georgia victory of Senator Saxby Chambliss. Senator Chambliss needed our help, and I'm proud that we were there to answer the call with money, technology, and manpower. This crucial victory derailed the Democrat dream of building a supermajority in the United States Senate and was a crushing blow to the Barack Obama, Harry Reid, Nancy Pelosi liberal agenda. And voters in Louisiana just this past Saturday overwhelmingly embraced the Republican Party's core values by electing Joseph Gow and John Fleming to Congress. The Los Angeles Times called Gow's election a stunning upset against a 9-term incumbent in a heavily Democrat district. It's clear that the Republicans still know how to win elections as we build a solid foundation for the 2010 campaign. Lincoln also said, "As our case is new, we must think and act anew." In that spirit, I will be sharing with you in the coming weeks a 10-point plan for moving the party forward. Three important steps of that plan are already underway. First, as you know, I've directed the RNC to file a lawsuit in federal court challenging the Bipartisan Campaign Reform Act of 2002. When Barack Obama broke his promise on public financing, it became clear to a lot of us that as Republicans abiding by the rules, our hands were tied. Our ability to compete was seriously damaged. The restrictions were challenging, infringe on the core of the First Amendment, guaranteeing political freedom of speech and association. The RNC must have the ability to support state candidates, coordinate expenditures with all of our candidates, and truly engage in protected political activity on a national level. Second, we want to make sure the Republican message reaches every voter. It's not my desire to become the only face of the Republican Party. Our party should be represented by many faces and voices, taking advantage of the countless talented and effective spokespersons from every region and every state. Republicans who can represent our message in a variety of forms and mediums. And so the RNC will focus even more on a communications project that includes an effective and accessible Speakers Bureau. Through this bureau, trained and informed Republican surrogates from around the country will add their voices to those of our talented political stars who are already in great demand. The third component of my plan is the important relationship between the RNC and state parties. I'm launching a bold new initiative, Partnership 2010. The Partnership 2010 program allows us to work side by side with state parties to create and expand the building blocks of successful elections in every state across the country. Having trained political staff in each state will allow us to share ideas, implement technology, organize our activists, and win victories at every level. We'll hit the ground immediately, working together to build our party from the courthouses to the state houses to Congress. Another important part of our plan you'll be hearing about in the near future is our comprehensive approach to redistricting and reapportionment. I pledge to make sure that we have the financial, political, and legal tools we need to help Republicans in every state apply their rightful influence on this process. We'll make sure that new district maps are drawn properly and fairly. On a personal level, I want to tell you what a great privilege it's been for me to serve as chairman of the party over the past 2 years. As I've shared with you often, serving as our chairman has been the greatest honor of my life. The work of your national party depends not on flash or rhetorical flourishes. I'll leave that to our candidates. Our success at the party level depends on a daily commitment to the nuts and bolts of modernization and technology, the building blocks of hard work and innovation, and the countless behind-the-scenes tasks that may not be worthy of the spotlight, but are essential for our success. Probably more than most, I enjoy those tasks, and I take pride in achieving the fruits of those labors. Before I was elected chairman, I was privileged to serve the RNC through a number of other chairmen over the years. I understand the role of the RNC when a Republican holds the White House, and I also understand that when a Democrat's in the Oval Office, the role of the RNC changes. I'm ready to meet the demands of the new challenges we face, just as the RNC has already done in Georgia, Minnesota, and Louisiana. I look forward to working hard with Republicans across this country to make our party stronger. Please join me in that journey so that the Republican ideals and principles that have made our country great can flourish throughout the halls of government, from every state house across the nation to Capitol Hill and the White House in Washington. I need your help, and I'm asking for your vote as chairman of the Republican National Committee. Thank you, and I look forward to talking with each of you in the coming weeks.